You have almost certainly been told that the Eiffel Tower is about 15 centimeters taller in summer than it is in winter. 6 free inches of iron every July. It is one of the most passed around facts on the internet, and the people who actually run the tower will tell you that number is not the height.
Hang on, it doesn't grow?
It grows. It just does not grow by that. The 15 centimeters is real. It is measured, and it belongs to something far stranger that the tower does every single sunny day. Start with what it is. 7,300 tons of puddled iron, 18,038 separate pieces, 2.5 million rivets standing 330 meters over Paris.
And metal expands when it gets warm. That part everybody knows.
It does, and by a beautifully predictable amount. Warm 1 meter of iron by 1 degree, and it grows by about 12 millionths of a meter. You can never see it. It is nothing. But the tower is not 1 meter of iron, it is 300. So all those nothings stack up. A professor of architectural construction ran the sum last year. A 300-meter iron bar, warmed by 100 degrees, would stretch by 36 centimeters.
100 degrees is not a Paris summer, though.
No, and that is the point. Bring it down to a swing Paris actually gets, a cold January night against iron baking in July sun, and the number comes down with it. His article says specialists put the real figure at 12 to 15 centimeters. So the famous number is not made up. It is a reasonable estimate by someone who does this for a living.
Here is the honest part. The company that runs the tower publishes a much smaller answer. Their words, heat makes the Eiffel Tower a few millimeters taller, and the winter cold takes those few millimeters back. Not centimeters, millimeters.
So who was wrong?
Possibly neither. It depends entirely on which two moments you are comparing, and a lattice of 18,000 riveted parts pointing in every direction does not behave like one clean iron bar. Snopes went through the whole thing and rated the viral version mostly true. The growing is real. The 6 inches is not. Because here is where 15 centimeters actually comes from, straight off the tower's own website. Over the course of a clear day, the top of the Eiffel Tower moves in a roughly circular curve, about 15 centimeters across.
The top of it moves in a circle 15 centimeters wide.
Every sunny day. And not one person standing underneath it can feel a thing. The tower has 4 sides, and the sun only ever really hits one of them at a time. That face warms up. Its iron lengthens. The 3 shaded faces stay where they are, and the whole structure tips a fraction of a degree away from the warm side.
It is leaning away from the sun.
All day long. And because the sun crosses the sky, the warm face keeps changing, so the summit gets towed around after it. It leans away from the morning sun in the east, swings round through the afternoon, and settles back once it is dark.
So the most photographed structure in Paris is quietly a sundial. Not the kind that casts a shadow, the kind that points, 300 meters up, always away from the sun and draws a small circle in the evening.
How has nobody noticed this?
Because 15 centimeters spread over 330 meters is nothing to look at. Shrink the tower down to the height of a person, and the top of their head drifts by less than a millimeter. For comparison, a strong wind pushes that summit around by a few centimeters too, so the sun's daily lap is in the same league as the weather, and unlike the weather, it runs to a timetable. And once you can see this, you cannot unsee it. Network Rail will tell you that a steel rail in full sun runs up to 20 degrees hotter than the air, and hot rails expand, and expanding rails buckle. That is why British trains crawl in a heat wave.
Is that why they paint bits of the track white?
Exactly why. White absorbs less, and it takes up to 10 degrees off the rail. Same physics as those metal comb joints in a bridge deck, gaps deliberately left for the road to grow into. Concorde used to stretch several inches in supersonic cruise, enough that a gap opened up on the flight deck beside the engineer. So the fact is nearly right, and nearly right is the interesting part. The tower does change size with the weather, probably by less than you were told, but the 15 centimeters you have been quoting for years is the tower leaning, not growing.
Next clear day in Paris, the top of that tower is not where it was this morning.
It really is not.
Tell us in the comments where you have caught thermal expansion in the wild. A buckled rail, a bridge joint you can hear your car cross, a metal gate that only latches properly in winter. Until then, stay curious.
If you enjoyed that, subscribe for more and stay curious.